Okay, good morning, everyone. Today, inshallah, we will start talking about the first author in the American literature in the 19th century. The author is Washington Irving. Now, let me just um, share a screen with you so I can talk about the author, and then we will move to the work itself and discuss it in detail. I want to just open this in a PDF. I think it's better because I want to highlight some stuff here. Just bear with me. Okay, desktop, summer, American. Okay, here you go. So today we will see how Washington Irving can be categorized as an American writer in the 19th century. What are the characteristics of his work, and what are the things that we should take into account when reading his short story, Tom or the Devil and Tom Walker. Okay, now here's the PDF, and let's get started. First of all, Washington Irving was born in 1783 and died in 1855. When Washington Irving was born, his mother reportedly said, "George Washington's work is ended, and the child shall be named for him." The name was appropriate for several reasons. Young Irving's birth occurred in New York on April 3rd, 1783, 5 months before peace was established between Great Britain and the colonies. Like his namesake, Washington Irving was also a father of America, a literary patriarch who was the first famous man of letters in the new nation. Significantly, the last were published before Irving's death in 1859 was the fifth volume of his excellent biography, The Life of George Washington. So here, just a general introduction about the author, when he was born and died, etc., and etc. As a youth, Washington Irving rejected the strict religious upbringing imposed by his Scottish Presbyterian father. He enjoyed the emergent arts of the 19th century, American music, literature, and especially the theater. He frequented a nearby theater, watching the drama until 9 o'clock, when he hurried home for family prayers. After prayers, he escaped through a bedroom window and climbed down the roof and returned to the theater to see the end of the play. So this paragraph talks about how Washington Irving, was not that interested in religion, and so he moved to music, literature, and theater. So these are some of the things that influence his work, because as a writer, he exposed himself to such arts as music, literature, and theater. Okay, so Irving attended a series of schools until he left the classroom for good at 16, claiming to have learned as little as his teachers allowed. He decided to pursue a legal profession, but once he had passed the bar, he found the dull routine of lawyer's office unappealing. Witty, urban, handsome, friendly, he enjoyed a life of leisure in the company of other youth who formed a club calling itself the Nine Worthies. So in this, paragraph, it talks about how Irving was, at the beginning he studied in a law school, but he did not like, his profession as a lawyer, because he believes that this kind of job is dull routine of a lawyer. So that's why he quit his job and joined a company of young writers, and this group is called the Nine Worthies. In 1807 and 1808, Irving and his friends began to publish a periodical called Salamagandi, after the spicy appetizers, which offered impudent and amusing portrayals of the wait a second. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. This paragraph here, in 1807, 1808, Irving and his friends began to publish periodical called Salamagundi after spicy appetizer, which offered impudent and amusing portrayals of society, politics, and personalities of New York. Soon, Irving decided to write a novel that spoofed the past history of his native city. Although the resulting book, whatever history of New York, offended some members of society, its high spirits, humor, imagination, and good-natured irreverence established it as a youthful masterpiece. Moreover, in embodying the local settings, customs, and people of America in the work of literature, Irving was contributing to a national literature. So here, again, we see how Washington Irving emphasized the local. As you remember before, we mentioned that the United States of America in the 19th century tried to break away from Europe. And this can be in all regards, in politics, economy, and also in literature. So in literature, the American writers, focused on the American locale or the American setting. So what is important for the American writers is not London or Paris, but what was important for them was Boston, Massachusetts, New York. So these are the American cities that they are interested in and they want to talk about. In 1815, Irving went to England attempting to save his family's import business, which had suffered financial upsets from the War of 1812. Up until the firm was forced into bankruptcy in 1818, did Irving decide that he must support himself by writing. In 1819 and 1820, the sketchbook was sent in installments to America, where it was highly praised by readers and critics alike. Eventually published in book form in England, although most of the collection involved essays about the charm of England, of English life and manners, it is mainly remembered for two stories, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and The Rip Van Winkle. Irving followed the success of the sketchbook with many other books, legends, and folk tales, biographies, and histories. So here, okay, so as I said here, these are some of the works that Irving published during his life. But the most important thing that you have to understand about Irving is that he published works that have to do with the American literature and that have to do with the American setting, the American locale. That's why, America is the most important thing in their work. And here, as you can see here, that he embodies local setting, customs, traditions, people of America, and work of literature. Okay, now when we start reading his short story, um, The Devil and Tom Walker, we will try to understand how this work, is an American work and how it represents the United States of America. Okay, so The Devil and Tom Walker. This is one of the anthologized short stories by Washington Irving. Now, let me start by talking about the plot, and then we will go and discuss some of the themes here in this short story. First of all, The Devil and Tom Walker. Tom Walker is one of the main characters in this novel, in this short story. So Tom Walker is an American regular person who lives with his wife. Tom Walker and his wife are very poor and they are very, stingy, meaning that they don't like to spend money. They are very cheap and they live a very miserable life. Although they have money, they are not poor, but at the same time, they live a poor life. And this is very strange, for these two couples. So Tom Walker and his wife. Now, the relationship between Tom Walker and his wife isn't that good. So that's why, they are fighting all the time. He hits his wife, he fight with her. And at the same time, his wife is very strong and is very abusive as well. So she's talkative and she hits him as well. So the life of this couple, wasn't that, or is not that, beautiful, life that we expect from these two people. Okay, so one day, Tom Walker was coming back from the city towards his home, and on his way back, he decided to take a shorter road to his home. But this road is very difficult because he will find huge trees, he will find ponds and lakes. So it is very difficult to walk through this, huge, forest that has, swamps, that has trees, and that has all these, natural elements that make it difficult for Tom to move or to walk through this, road. On his way back to his home, Tom met a person, okay, and this person was described as or is described as a giant person who wears, red Indians or Native Americans. That's the right expression to use. Native American clothes, okay, and he talked to Tom's, and he told Tom that he has, a treasure. The treasure that he has is the treasure of a person named Kid. So if you go here, let me show you the reference to Kid. Yeah, here. So so Kid is one of the pirates who steal many ships and buried his treasure in different places. Now, the giant the giant person that Tom met, or what Tom calls the devil, okay, told Tom that he has the kid's treasure, and that he could give treasure to Tom if he, strike a deal with him. Okay, but Tom refuses at the beginning to do anything with, or to deal with the devil, and he returns, sorry, to his wife, and he told her about the story. But his wife, is very greedy, and she goes back to the forest to talk to the devil, but she never returns. Tom wait for her for a long time, but she does not return. And then Tom goes back to the devil, and he found some traces that his wife is dead, or is killed by someone, and most likely by the devil himself. And so is very happy because of that. And then uh, Tom, strikes a deal with the devil that the devil will give him the kids or the pirate's treasure if he works for the devil, and he will ask Tom to work with slaves, or to transport slaves from Africa to the United States, and he wants him to lend money, or to give money to the, to lend money, or what is called in English usury. And I'll try to find or make a note here if I can. Looks like I cannot, because I need to show you some. I don't know if I have a whiteboard here, maybe. Okay, good. So let me write here. So the word usury, this is a word that has to do with lending money, okay? Lending money. So the devil wants Tom to go and use the treasure to lend money to people, That's the main aim, or the main target for the devil. And Tom, does what the devil, told him to do. He goes to Boston, he opens an office there, and he starts giving people money. But this, is at the expense of using, and, like Tom gives people money, and at the same time, he takes their land, their, assets, their houses, etc. Okay, let me just pause a little bit.